Hi traders, welcome to this week's pre-week market review. We are looking at the technicals of most of the major pairs this week. Let's have a quick recap on last week's market. The US dollar was particularly strong, especially up until Friday, and we did finally get a big sell-off on the US equities market, especially the S&P 500 crashing quite considerably. It is important to recognize that there is obviously, tension mounting with Russia still in the background, and that is affecting the relations between the US and the Russian government. So obviously, we'll have a direct and also indirect impact on the US equities market and the dollar. Here we can see on the technicals the breakout there on the S&P 500 daily chart. We did warn you about that last week. A lot of profit taking there taking place. You might expect some retests of this red resistance line now. Moving on to the GBPUSD, we saw a lot of dollar strength here, especially in the middle of the week. So the pound dollar selling off there. One of the reasons was the FOMC statement last week, where they announced a further reduction by $10 billion monthly of the quantitative easing, or the monetary printing that the US have been doing over the last several years, which obviously worked in favor of the dollar. We can show you now on a weekly, the next support level for this pound dollar seems to be around about 167, so we still have another 100 pips or so to go potentially there. You can see I've just circled back in January 2011 a very, very strong resistance mark, which is now a likely support retracement. If we move over to the other major pair, the euro dollar has been moving in divergence to the pound, and we've interestingly seen this delayed reaction there quite often this year. So euro dollar already had its big sell-off the last few weeks, but actually last week not so heavily sold off, and on Friday we saw a pullback of this pair and some dollar weakness after the non-farm payrolls employment data was rather disappointing, in fact. And you might want to keep an eye on that in this week's market too, by the way. It may have an impact, a sort of knock-on effect. We did get bad data just at the end of last week on that dollar. If we show you last but not least the dollar yen, again one of our favorite pairs, very, very simple ranging market here from 101.30 to 102.70, and you can see there just about 130 pip range coming right to the breakout on the top level now at the resistance point. I've just circled it there. So if we see any move to the upside, there's going to be very nice buying opportunities, and if we fail to break, then you could just sell all the way back down to that support level at 101.30. Pretty clear. I will say that before we leave you, next week has some very big data, especially towards the middle of the week, where we have the US and Canadian trade balance data, and of course on Thursday, the Euro and the UK interest rates decision, and last but not least, Friday's Japanese yen press conference, which will be very important as the Japanese yen did strengthen quite considerably against certain pairs last week, notably against the GBP. Have a great week, guys, and trade safe.